I want to talk about relationships because it's something that is so important for living a more fulfilling life. But people often overlook this part of their life because they've become so comfortable with the relationships that they've built. And it's one of the hardest things to change because you risk losing acceptance from other people, having them walk away. It hits at a deep root in the fear of rejection when you start thinking about becoming the person God's made you to be, identity formation, and being a new creation. As you start to change, you risk losing those people that you've been around. Maybe it's family, maybe it's friends, maybe it's mentors, maybe it's people that you used to just kind of hang out with and have fun, but now you're like, I'm in a different season. The relationship thing is also a blind spot for people. And you think about the relationships that you've had over the course of your life, and you can look at them maybe from your perspective and go, well, these are healthy. But if you're bumping up against big walls in your life and you're recognizing, man, something really needs to change, there might be an opportunity to reevaluate those relationships and see if they're truly healthy, because a lot of people who are living in toxic relationships or dysfunctional relationships may not even be able to see whether their relationships are healthy. And I can speak from my own personal experience. Just example, like the word healing wasn't even in my vocabulary until I went through my awakening and started recognizing the need to heal in my life. And so as a result, I didn't really perceive any of the relationships I was in, friendships or whatever, as messy, because I was always like, yo, we're on the same page. It's cool. They're cool. I'm cool. If there's an issue, we talk about it. But what then I started to realize is, as I went on my healing journey, things started getting a little messy. And I was like, man, like, this is strange for me that I normally don't have kind of like messy relationships. What's going on? And it was really just me recognizing, oh my gosh, I have a lot of undealt with stuff. And so for me to have the process of healing, it means that it might become a little messy, and that might cause some conflict or strain on relationships. And then you start being around other people who are going through their healing journey, and you're like, whoa, I've got a lot going on. So I want you to know, if you're in that place in your life where you're starting to reevaluate things, relationships included, and you're wanting to seek more fulfillment in your life, you need to know that, like, things can get more messy before they get better. You also need to know that there's going to be relationships that you can put yourself into or surround yourself with or invest into that are going to be healthy for you, and there are going to be unhealthy relationships for you. And you're going to have to be discerning to try and make that choice. But you do have to get kind of an anchor for yourself, and you have to say, okay, what is a healthy relationship? What are healthy boundaries? What is healthy conflict resolution? What does it mean for me to carry someone else's burden without taking responsibility for them? For me to live my life not feeling like I owe other people, having grace for them, and not feeling like I need to have this weight of responsibility I carry just if I mess up in a relationship, for example, or I can't fulfill a commitment. You need to have an anchor for yourself, and one of the ways that you can develop that anchor is by being around people who have healthy relationships in their life, but also reading your Bible. Like, when you read the Bible, you start to gain wisdom, and it's different than knowledge and information. Okay, so wisdom is really discernment in how you handle situations, whether or not you have all the information. I'm thinking back to a story in the Bible where the king looks at these two women who are fighting over this baby that had died overnight, and one woman says it's hers, another woman says it's hers, and the king looks at them, and they don't have DNA testing. He can't determine whose it truly is, and he says, okay, with wisdom, why don't we cut the baby in half, and you get this half and you get the other. And then he thought to himself, I'll know who is the true mother, right, by suggesting this solution, even if I'm not following through with it. And of course, the woman who's the true mother said, no, give it to her. Just give her the baby. And so he knew that must be the true mother. He didn't have any more information. He had wisdom. And we need wisdom in relationships, and we need wisdom in life. And for us to be able to navigate life and be navigating in a healthy way, we need to be able to have God's ways, okay? Because it says his thoughts are higher than our thoughts, his ways are higher than our ways, and that goes for relationships. And the best way to know how to navigate relationships in the world around you is to navigate your relationship with the Lord, because he's perfect and he's not changing. So if you're getting closer in relationship with him, that means that you must be changing. So as you are reading the Bible, gaining wisdom, as you're changing, you're going to be able to really come into alignment with the healthiest person that you can be. And you're going to live from that place, inside out transformation. You're going to live from that place in the relationships around you. And you'll find that some of those relationships that you've had for a long time, they might just kind of fade away. And the way I like to think about it is you're not leaving people behind. You're just moving forward in the direction that you're going in life. And they may meet you on the path later on. They may not. It doesn't mean that you look down on them. It doesn't mean that you're better than them. It doesn't mean that, just because you're at a different place in your journey that you can't associate with them. That's not necessarily the case, although there are some cases of healthy boundaries needed. It's just simply saying, hey, here's where I'm at, and here's where I'm going, and if you are not on the journey with me, that's okay. And as you start to grow in your relationship with God, as you start to set boundaries and learn and practice, okay, what's healthy, what's maybe not so healthy, and as you realize that during mistakes you can have grace for yourself because you're learning just like everybody else, you end up finding yourself around people who are healthy, who have understanding of maybe the process you're going through, the journey you're on, and you experience what grace feels like because maybe those people have been in that situation and they have grace for you. I think back of a story where I had a client call scheduled, and this person was just trying to navigate a lot in life, and their organizational skills weren't really where they wanted them to be. For whatever reason, this call, they'd been diligent in showing up all the calls, but for whatever reason, this call didn't land on their calendar. And the temptation for somebody like myself is like, okay, we scheduled the call, you got to be on the calendar. The temptation for somebody like myself is to be saying, wow, like this really must not be important to you, and then take it personally or something, right? But I've learned, and also just my perspective has changed as I've grown healthier and just had healthier relationships and grown in my relationship with the Lord. I've learned that it's important to assume the best. Like, this person wanted to be on the call. They just, for whatever reason, something might have happened. I wonder if they're okay. Something might not, have clicked for them because they got all this other stuff going on. And, and maybe they just simply lack organizational skills and they've been doing really good at managing, but there's one slip up, one mistake. So I was really gentle. I was really kind. And I said, hey, I'm available. I'm here. And then after a certain amount of time being available, I said, you know what, we'll need to reschedule. And this has happened a couple of times with different people, but they said, wow, like that was really helpful for me to realize what grace can look like in that situation, because, ultimately, maybe when they've made mistakes in the past, people have come down on them really hard. And so they started to view themselves that way. Like, oh, I'll never match up to other people's expectations or needs, or I'm not valuable because I don't have these skills or whatever it is. But just simply me saying, hey, it's cool, I'm assuming the best, and you can just message me and we'll figure it out. Let me know what's going on. So long as there's that communication, right, where I'm saying, hey, I'm assuming the best and we can figure it out. So long as there's that communication going back and forth, and they know there's an open door for them to talk with me and me to talk with them, man, that's really healing. And so when you surround yourself with people who are helping you realize, like, oh, when that happened in the past, this is people's normal reaction, or what I'm used to and what's familiar, but that happened today, the same thing, and it's different. So maybe my way of thinking needs to be different. Maybe not everybody's like this. Maybe not everybody's going to be hard on me. Maybe people actually can have grace for me. and then maybe I can actually have grace for somebody else. And so it's amazing what happens when you go on that journey and you start surrounding yourself with people. I myself have been on the receiving end of that. I'm giving an example where I was on the giving end of that, giving the grace in that moment. But it's just important to be around those people as you're navigating relationships and trying to have healthier dynamics. This is one of the ways that you're transformed by the renewing of your mind, is by being around people who show you things are different than your reality that you've experienced in life. So just remember, as you're navigating the whole relationships thing, and as you're navigating how to live a more fulfilling life, just how important it can be, how hard it can be, but also, some of those keys that I've mentioned, because I really think it's important, growing in your relationship with the Lord for wisdom, reading your Bible, getting around people that are going to be helping you be empowered to become more whole and healthier, and to experience what healthy relationships look like, feel like, even conflict resolution, right? And then also just setting those boundaries and recognizing, look, I don't need to bring everybody with me on the journey. They might come back on the path with me, and it's okay if it gets a little messy. I trust that God can handle things that aren't meant for me, and He can take care of those people. And it doesn't say anything about the value of that person to me. Honestly, the fact that I can live my life and become a better person says a lot about them in being a part of that journey. It's honoring to them. So I hope that helps you. If this is something that if it resonated, I would appreciate if you share it with somebody. Maybe leave a comment, leave me something that stood out to you, and just keep going. If you're on the journey, just keep going. I've got more that you can listen to on the podcast. Season 4 is all about relationships, and the podcast is called Mindset with TJ Loeffler. And there's also some trainings that I've got on my site, so you can check those out if you ever want to dive deeper. But I hope this blesses you. This is for somebody who's on the journey and just needs to hear it about, their relationships in their life, and how important that can be, but also how challenging it is, and that you just need to have that encouragement. Keep going.